Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy the Game Master and welcome to my channel. Well, today I just got done playing a game off of Steam called ICEY. It had appeared as a recommendation on the Steam Summer Sale, and I thought it looked enough like a retro beat-em-up game for me to try. What I got, though, wasn't what I was suspecting, and to be fair, this is a hard review for me to do. It's hard to say whether or not I think this is actually a good game or not, but at the same time, I do want to applaud the game developers for doing something different and taking the ideas set out in the Stanly Prable and trying to expand them within a deeper game with a deeper narrative and actual gameplay. That said, unfortunately, Stanly Prable is still better at getting these ideas across. Okay, there are two stories in this game. The first one is your bare-bones, almost NES-style action plot involving a cyborg named ICEY who is out to kill another robot named Judas because he wants to destroy all of humanity or something like that. Basically, just follow the narrator's instructions and the arrows and you'll get to the final battle with Judas. That said, there is another storyline in the game about ICEY and the player's free will. Break from the narration or refuse to follow an order and something interesting can happen. Sometimes they're just very weird, and sometimes they can get really dark. But they are all interesting.
Just trust me. Trust me. You have to trust me. No!
Okay, I'll talk about the two types of gameplay that this game represents. First, it's basic as an action game. It's a basic hack and slash with a variety of combos and moves to do. Basically, if you're playing on anything other than hard, you just basically button mash the X and Y as much as you can until B appears and then hit it to do a combo that destroys an enemy. It's simple and repetitive, but at the same time, some of these takedowns are spectacularly animated enough to still be satisfying. Next to combat, ICEY can jump and even almost fly by infinitely dashing in almost any direction. On its own, this game would be passable, but not spectacular. However, let's get into the narration and the whole breaking the fourth wall. Like the Stanly Prable, you have a narrator and you can break from him at any point, and usually get another somewhat weird ending if you do so, or in some cases just minorly annoy him. Things like you getting into another game after jumping into a poisonous puddle he warned you about, or having his wife find out that he's having an affair, and yeah, that one is dark. The extra paths are kinda nice and does lead to some freedom. However, in the Stanly Prable, you would get an ending soon after deviating from the course that would eventually make you reset the whole game. After all, the Stanly Prable only takes about 10 minutes to go through it. Since ICEY is a bit longer game, clocking in at about the 2 hours point to do just a basic run through the game, you can't reset that far back, so you load up at the last checkpoint, which does kind of feel more like you're just getting another ending, or rather even being penalized, than doing your own story or feeling the consequences of your actions, which, yeah, compared to the Stanly Prable, doesn't hit quite as hard, unfortunately. I will give this game this, though, even though I won't show you this, there is an actual real ending that doesn't involve Judas. Rather, each ending you get gives you clues to a puzzle and a password you can enter on the stage select screen, and when you do find all the pieces and have the prompt appear, you will get the real ending, and it does actually outmate the Stanly Prable by outmating the narrator. It's weird, but it fits the tone of this game. I gotta say though, if I measure this by its individual parts, it comes out to merely being average at best. It's an okay hack and slash game. There's nothing busted in it, but it's not going to reinvent the genre with its combat. And when doing the whole fourth wall narration and discussion about free will, it's not the Stanly Prable either. And I do respect the fact that they tried to blend the Stanly Prable into something with a little bit more meat in the bones, even if it doesn't come out nearly as good. Also, like the Stanly Prable, once you find all the endings and get done tormenting the narrator, there's not too much reason to come back to this again. Yeah, it's got upgrades in combat, but again, basic and bare bones gameplay. I don't ever see myself really coming back and playing this game again. I'm not saying I'm sorry I bought this, but it is something to think about if you're interested in purchasing this or Stanly Parable. They're fun discussions to be had, but once the discussion is over, there's no real reason to go back to them. I can give this game one thing: the graphics are really well done, the animation is smooth, the colors are vibrant, and ICEY herself is very well drawn. My only complaints is the enemy designs get a little stale as the adventure continues. Just look how generic some of these enemies are. Still, great animation, great backgrounds. This game really does look like a 2D marvel. It's not quite as good looking as games like Dust, but it does come close. The music here is pretty decent, but one of the things they did patch into the game, I guess, after it was released was an English narration. Now this is a wise move because you get more of something when it's in your own language, especially when that something is made of humor like this narrator here. Unfortunately, the narrator isn't very good. He falls flat and keeps up the same tone throughout most of the game. When he's supposed to be scared or furious with you, his irritation really doesn't come through in any meaningful way, making the impact of the free will discussion fall flat. Unlike the Stanly Parable, where you could hear the irritation in the narrator's voice, here he doesn't seem very irritated at all.
You haven't even given me the chance to show my true genius. I don't get it. I don't understand at all. There's nothing here. Not even monsters for you to practice killing.
In the end, ICEY is a hard game for me to really know how much I should recommend it or not. I love the Stanly Parable, and I'm glad to see someone is taking that idea and putting it into an actual game. Unfortunately, the gameplay gets in the way of the narration. The gameplay is kind of basic, and the narrator himself is kind of ho-hum. I did enjoy it for the most part, and it's cheaper normal price than the Stanly Parable, but I would be lying if I didn't say get Stanly first and see if you like the idea of the discussion it brings. And then if you want to continue that discussion, then maybe get ICEY when it's on sale. Other than that, I do recommend just skipping ICEY and getting the Stanly Parable. It just has the ideas presented in a whole lot better way. Anyways, folks, this is Tommy the Game Master signing out. Thanking you for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and I would love it if you clicked on the subscribe button. I would love to have you as a member of my community. I'll see you guys later.